Well, hello and welcome to my latest video, and today we've got a special one for you because we're talking about bike fit. Now, you've probably seen quite a lot about bike fit. You've read about it in the magazines. You may even have seen some YouTube videos. You may even have thought about going down to your local bike shop to get a bike fit. And if you're interested in doing that, I'm not here to say don't do it. I am here to say that bike fits can be quite expensive, and if you're on a limited budget, such as myself, you're a retired gentleman of a certain age, or a retired lady even of a certain age, or you're not retired but you have a limited amount of income, then getting a bike fit, which can cost around about 150 to 200 pounds, can be quite expensive, especially if you're considering buying a bike for 100 quid or 50 quid, or you've dredged something out of a canal and you're thinking, well, I've dredged a bike out of a canal. Do I really want to spend 200 pounds just to check whether the bike fits me? Well, I'm here to say, well, you can if you want to. Yes, of course you can. I'm not here to tell you how you should spend your money. But if you'd rather do your own bike fit, then there are certain things that I'm going to be able to show you how to do. Now, they are relatively straightforward. They're virtually free to do. There is one thing that you're going to need, and that's a tape measure. Now, this particular tape measure is by Park Tools. You don't have to have a Park Tools tape measure. That's the first thing I need to say. You can buy one from Aldi or Lidl or one of the other supermarkets. Don't get it online. They're not quite as good there. Try and get it as a shop, but if you're in this country, you'll probably need to get that before Thursday for reasons that I'm sure are well known. The other thing you need to ensure is that I'm looking at this the right way up. I'm not sure you can actually see anything because the numbers are written on the side that I'm looking at, which obviously I need to see, otherwise I can't tell you what they are. But I appreciate that you can't see them, so I'll turn them around briefly like that so that you can see them. But I'm reading them out to you now. And this particular tape measure is divided up into feet and meters. Now, here in Britain, as you may well know, at the end of the year, we're going to be leaving the European Union, and therefore we are going to be barred by law from using meters and centimeters and millimeters and kilometers and all those other metric weights and measures, as we call them, and we're going to have to go back to feet and inches. So I'll try and do this particular bike fit using both methods, but just a reminder that if you do this bike fit after the 31st of December and you do it in the United Kingdom, I appreciate not all viewers are in the United Kingdom, but if you do it in the United Kingdom after the 31st of December, you're going to have to use feet and inches because otherwise the bike fit doesn't work. So let's just move swiftly on. I'm going to step out of the picture. I'm still here. You can see my hand. You may not be able to see my face, which may or may not be a benefit. And what you're looking at is a bicycle. Yes, this is a bicycle. It's on a stand. This happens to be my Mason definition bicycle. Now, don't go away. I'm just going to lower the camera a little bit so you can get a better view of the whole bike. How's that? And I'm going to change the lens. There you are. So you can saw a little bit of my face there. You see my face there? That was my face. But we're looking at the bicycle. So the first measurement, and this is a key measurement, and you see I've got my saddle here. This happens to be a Gilbert 2 saddle, very nice saddle, and I'm just going to measure the length of the saddle, okay, from the end here to the front here, and the length of this saddle here is 11 inches or 28 centimeters. So write that down on your piece of paper, or if you're using an iPad, write it down on an iPad or your phone. You can do that. So that's the first key measurement, the length of your saddle. Right now, the next key measurement is this particular height here, and we call this the seat height, okay, and here it is 10 inches or 26 centimeters. Okay, so we've got 10 inches, 26 centimeters. Just a slight aside, if you're a mountain biker and you use a dropper post, and a dropper post is, well, I don't know what it is, but if you use a dropper post, then you need to measure it when it's at its full height, and then measure it when it's at its lowest height, and then subtract the lowest number from the highest number, and you're going to use that number when we get to the end of the bike fit. The next measurement that you need to take is down here, and you'll see I've got here a bottle cage. It's very important that you have a bottle cage on your bike in order to do this particular measurement. If you haven't got a bottle cage, you can maybe borrow one from somebody else and perhaps get a friend, or obviously somebody from your own household, just to hold the bottle cage in the right position. Because what you want to do is measure from the center of the bottle cage there up to this particular piece of metal here, which is called a piece of metal. And that is... what is it? I'm just struggling to read here. It is 14 inches on this bike. Okay, 14 inches or 35 centimeters. All right, so 14 inches, 35 centimeters. Write that number down because you're going to need to remember that. Now, we're looking down here at the crank. This is called the crank. This is attached to the chainring. You can ignore that because we're not going to do any measurements from there. What we are going to do is, you see the top here where the seat tube here meets the head tube, which is here, that meets here the underground tube that meets the central line tube just here. See that junction? You'll have that junction on your bike, maybe a different junction. You may have the Victoria line, or you may even have the district and circle line. But where that junction is there, to just over here, which is the top center of the mudguard. All right, so we're just going to measure that distance here, right, and it is 15 and a half inches or 39 centimeters. So write that down on your piece of paper, put it into your tablet or your iPhone or whatever it is you're using. So we've now got the key measurements that we need for our bicycle. The only final measurement is that we need to measure the pedal. Now here is the pedal. This happens to be a look pedal. You may have a different sort of pedal on your bike. You see it spins around like that. That's what pedals are designed to do. And we're just going to measure the size of that pedal. And here it is, it's a bit difficult because it moves around, but maybe get somebody to hold it steady for you. It is 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. All right, so 3.5 inches, 9 centimeters. You may have a different size pedal, and therefore your bike fit calculations are going to be slightly different. But write that down in your tablet, in your phone, on your piece of paper, or however it is you're recording the information. All right, so you've got all of those measurements, all right, and the thing to do with those measurements now is to ignore them, right? Just push them to one side. Just forget about them. You can maybe put them in the post and mail them to yourself, or you could put them in an email and attach them to I don't know, GCN or some other place that does bike fits, because they can use those measurements. They put them into a big spreadsheet and that comes up with data. I'm not sure what happens to it. So the next thing to do is calculating your bike fit and I'm just going to move the camera again because we've finished with the bike now. So you can go back to looking at me. There we are. Can you see me? This is my face. The bike is still behind me. I've still got this tape measure in my hand because I'm not going to use that anymore, because we've got a fairly simple calculation to finish off our bike fit. And the calculation is, if you are more than 6 feet tall, right, and 6 feet, I'm afraid I don't know what that is in the European calculation, so I'm just looking it up on my tape measure here. It is 183 centimeters. So if you're in Europe and you're more than 183 centimeters, you live in the United Kingdom, you were 183 centimeters, but from December the 31st you're going to be more than 6 feet, okay, then you get a large bike. Okay, if you're less than 6 feet, let's say you're between 5'9" and 6 feet, then you get a medium bike. All right, and if you're less than 5'9", then you get a small bike. Okay, so that's your bike fit sorted. You have a large bike, you have a medium bike, or you have a small bike. Now, if you're planning to buy a Pinarello, because Pinarello, for their own reasons, use a slightly different measuring system. They don't use inches, they don't use centimeters, they use their own unit of measurement developed by the Romans, and you have to pay a bit more for your Pinarello. And the reason you pay a bit more for the Pinarello because it doesn't fit. Okay, and the reason it doesn't fit is because their measurement system is completely different from everybody else's. So the thing to do is, if you're as tall as Chris Froome, fairly tall fellow, rides a Pinarello, get his size bike. And if you're not as tall as Chris Froome, for example, you're like Richie Port, who's a fairly short fellow, get the same bike that he does. And if you contact your Pinarello dealer and tell them you're a Chris Froome or a Richie Port, and they'll give you the appropriate bike. If you're a Tergegan Hart, by the way, you want one in between, and they'll again sort that out for you. So the bike fit process, I'm not going to charge you for this bike fit process, because it's one of the services that I offer. It is guaranteed, however. Now, as you haven't paid anything, obviously, I can't give you your money back if you find that the bike fit process doesn't work precisely for your needs. But YouTube have introduced another algorithm quite recently. If you touch the screen just there, it'll come up with a widget, as they call it, and if you click on the widget, it will allow you to unview the video that you've just viewed. Okay, I find this very helpful, and some of my subscribers, some of my viewers have said that they find this a very helpful widget, because it allows you to unview the video that you've just viewed, and it also wipes your memory. So everything that you've seen in the video, and you think to yourself, I've just wasted 8 minutes of my life, or 9 minutes, or whatever it is, watching one of Julian's videos, I want that time back. Touch the widget, you unview the video, you get the time back. So that's my guarantee to you. If the bike fit doesn't work, press the button, unview the video. Now that's got to be a service worth paying for, only I'm not asking you to pay anything for it. So you don't have to pay 150 to 200 pounds to get a bike fit in your local bike shop, particularly as we may be coming into a difficult period in this country, and I'm sure if you watch your news you know what I'm talking about. Obviously you people in America are coming into a difficult period in your country, but that's for other reasons. So I've provided you with a system, an easy to use system to use on the bicycle that you dredged out of a canal, or perhaps you found somewhere, or you went to your local Lidl or your other supermarket and you bought a cheap bicycle. You want to check that it fits, and now you know. So just remember those key measurements that we did during the video. You will have written them down. And if you can't remember those measurements, just remember it's either small, medium or large. Small if you're restricted stature, medium if you're medium stature, large if you're kind of normal or higher stature. And the same thing applies for women. This isn't just a male-dominated thing. Women can use the same calculations, but just divide by 2, and then it works perfectly. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's offered as a public service. Remember the unview button if you haven't been happy with it and you want to implement the guarantee. But apart from that, have a nice day and see you next time.